this whole thing moved a lot more than I thought it should. So that bothered me. Anyway, as I get things figured out, I'll update on just where I'm at with it. Yes, lesson learned. Okay, so that's where I'm at today. My first round of shaping, I did that little thing. I'm going to do it just a bit more where I was changing that crease and changing the angles over here. It worked pretty well. The only downside of all this, I'm getting it fit pretty good here. These holes don't line up perfect. The wiper holes just slightly off. See? Just slightly off, not exactly perfect. But until I go get the wiper motor and try to put it up in there and see how it looks, I don't know if it's okay or not. This is where the panel wants to lie. This is where it just sort of naturally wants to go. I had to do a bunch of work in this corner to get this thing to lay down and change the angle of stuff there. Did that spot in the middle. And same thing over here to get this to lay down through all of this here so that this panel would go down in there where it belongs. But, I mean, if I was welding, it would be good enough to weld right now. The problem is, how do I know that I've got the lower cowl exactly where it needs to be so that the upper cowl will go on like this? I mean, it's easy to work when I've got both of these cowl panels together, but I have to be able to secure the lower panel and take the upper panel off. I don't know how successful at that I'm going to be, but I'm not ready yet. I've got a little bit more working to do right over here. And then, of course, I've got to prime, seal, paint, panel before I can do any welding or final fitting. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. It looks pretty good on the inside. I don't know if I can get a shot of that, but I'm sure as heck going to try it. You can see it seems to be fitting pretty good there. Looks pretty good over here on the firewall. So I think I'm doing okay. I don't know. I think I'm doing okay. Another update. Been working on this all day. Well, half the day. What I've got is this fitting real good. And I got all this fitting good. This is all fitting good right here. I got this spot here cut and made that wall come up more vertical and put a piece in there and weld her up. So it's fitting good now. Yeah, who'd have thunk? You have to do this much work to make a supposedly stock panel fit. Because I am reusing my old upper cowl, I ended up having to, these little notches that they leave in here for the 65s that use the screws, mine has studs, so none of those really need to be there, but so I welded them up. That one, my weld isn't that close, so it wasn't a problem. This one, it was right on top of the hole. That one's okay. This one right here was right on top of the hole, so I had to weld that one up, and the next one, and the next one, and the last one. I assume they don't need to be there, but it's just a carryover from the 65s. The firewall is S-shaped. So it goes from here, see, it goes this way, and then over there at that apron, it's going the other way, and then it has to cut back. So it's just a big lazy S. And I haven't figured out how I'm supposed to straighten that up. It's driving me crazy. Hi, update for today. Still working this panel, trying to get the holes lined up and reworking the wiper mounts. You know what I find amazing? 300,000 miles in Oregon, and there's hardly any play in these wiper transmissions. They feel perfect. Unbelievable. If they can build wiper motors and transmissions that last 50 years and 300,000 miles and still work great, I mean, you'd think the rest of the car would be engineered the same way. I bought the one-piece torque box specifically for the coupe, which is different than the convertible. I'm still messing with this cowl. If I put this connector in and I line up the spot welds where they used to be right there, you can see it's coming up short. So something has moved. The cowl is either further that way or the nose of the car is drooping. I don't know, but that just worries the heck out of me, and I'm not welding anything until I figure it all out. Anyway, it's driving me crazy. That's it for today. Today I'm working on cleaning up the torque box for the torque box installation. So I'm just getting the stuff cleaned off, and I still have to do this and get that lip out of there so that the torque box can slide up in there. I'm going to try to put it in one piece. I don't know if that's even possible, but with the toe boards out, possibly. No, I haven't finalized the cowl yet. I don't know. I got a mental block about how I'm going to end up finalizing the position, and which then locks the front end in position. It moved around so much. It moved in ways that I didn't expect, and in directions that I didn't take measurements for. It's leaving me a bit bewildered how I'm going to square it all up. There you have it. I don't know. Whatever. It's another update. I am about to weld in the torque box. Just got through spraying some weld through primer on the areas I'm not welding, and thought I'd go over what I've done. I had to I rolled this edge. I put a slit in it and rolled this edge so that it makes up for the metal thickness difference between where the rocker is and where the side panel is. After I did that, it fell in there pretty good. I had to put one extra notch right here because I got a tang that's between the apron and the firewall. So I just cut that away. Because I have the toe boards out, I'm going to go ahead and do the overlap and weld her in that way. I used my laser level to make sure everything was adjusted, and I found a setting for the front apron here, between these bolts, between that point, and that point, that get the apron at the right angle so that my door gap is straight, and I have it sitting there right now. And of course it has to be there because I'm about to weld the torque box in, and once I weld that in, it's probably not going to move a lot. Well, that's the theory anyway. Okay, that's today's haps. This is what I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep going. I haven't welded in my cowl yet because I hadn't done the final on making up my mind that the front end was square. I'm still not 100% sure, but at some point I have to just check and double check and triple check and then commit. Make the commitment, weld some stuff, and then after that it's stuck, and then just make it work after that. Hello, another update. The upper torque box plate is in. The interior is primed, etched and primed. This plate is fitted, so it's ready to go. FYI, these torque boxes are assembled under tension. When you drill the spot welds, they will spring into a different shape. Drilled all the holes and prepped it and primed it so it is protected. And I guess what I'll try to do is figure out some way to go in through the holes and shoot paint in there just to kind of get the rest of it. And I didn't want to get too close to the welds with the primer. Anyway, so that's where I'm at so far. It's looking good. Hello there. It's 11 o'clock Tuesday night, and I'm knocking off for the day. Got some stuff done. I finished off the torque boxes, got everything ground off and looking real good. The insides are painted. And also, I got my toe board stitched in. Knocking off for now, and I'll stitch it in the rest of the way tomorrow. At least, I'm going forward. No, I haven't welded in the cowl yet. Well, I'm here with Betsy again, doing my thing. The patch panel is now all welded and ground down, and this side is done. I'm having a problem with my 20-ton hydraulic jacks. Can't seem to stay in position. The valves leak, so I can set the frame geometry up, but a couple of days later there's no weight on these anymore, so they just leak down. Dang it. I went around and checked and trammed up the whole frame using my laser level right before I welded that box in, so it's probably accurate, I hope. I hope the jack didn't release some before I got that all welded in. I'm pretty sure I'm okay, but I'm not going to know until I get the new jack stands. I just ordered some RV leveling jack stands. They're 6-ton units, but they just have the screw. I mean, they only have to support, maybe 300 pounds here. So I should be able to just put them right there and level this, and then not have to worry about the jacks changing the position of the frame rail before I get the torque box welded in. And more importantly, I haven't welded in the upper cowl yet. I'm still working on that. I kind of got brain locked because of the wiper thing, and having to stop and rethink and redo and really figure it out. So instead, I'm just going ahead with the torque boxes and the floor pans, or not the floor pan, but the toe boards. And I'll get that done and keep the car square, and then in the final moment, I will then set the angle of the front axles the front frame rails, and then weld that cowl panel in. Very frustrating. I don't know, I'm just sort of brain locked on it. So whenever I brain lock, I just go do something else that needs to be done, and I figure it out eventually to get it right. So as you can see, they're just sitting over here in the, hey, let's just compare what the two of these look like mode. Take some critical measurements of the location, like the hole from the lip here. Is there a change there? The position from the end and everything, try to get an idea. See, these bosses look similar, but this one stands more proud, and it's got a slightly different angle than this here, and that's what I'm finding mostly. The panel gets stamped, and then it springs back into whatever position it springs back in, and that's
Don't know if you've noticed, but the lower cowl that I purchased is actually a 65 or 66, but my car was originally equipped with a 67 upper and lower cowl and side panels. That's part of the problem with trying to make these two panels fit.
For the spring of the metal and its memory to want to spring back to where it was. so the panels don't come out the same shape with the slightly same angles, because everything relaxes after it's stamped. Anyway, that's my theory, and I'm sort of going on that theory as I rework this panel and try to change some of these angles, get it to lay right, get the wiper mounts in the right place, and just sort of overall make the whole thing work. Okay, so this morning I decided I'm going to clean up. My bench is a mess with pieces and parts of the car and tools. Inside the car is a mess. I realized I had 3 hammers inside the car. Every clamp that's supposed to be on that wall was laying down in the bottom of the car. You know, I'm just, wow. Well, you guys know the drill. Do you ever wonder what this is? This little cardboard piece goes between this screw hole, like so, and one of the screws on the bottom of the vent, the air vent. And the only thing that I can figure out why they would just arbitrarily, well, it wasn't arbitrarily, put that in there. And I decided what it is if your windshield leaks, the water will run down the cardboard and off over here and drip onto the floor rather than to get into the fuse box and cause a failure. So they're sort of anticipating that the windshield leaks. And that was just to try to make the electronics work longer. Seems kind of weird, you know? Why not make the windshield seal in such a way that leaks are not prevalent so that things like this aren't necessary? Hello, update. I'm working on the passenger side. I've got it all cleaned up and prepped here, ready to cut away the toe board when my new stands come so I can set this frame, square it up, and lock it in. Then I'm going to start cutting metal out, but I'm not cutting metal out until I can guarantee my frame is straight and stays straight. That's it for today. Geez, I've only put in 8 hours today and I'm knocking off. It seems like I'm being lazy. Later. Well, it's Tuesday morning, the 22nd. I've got my cowl just clamped in here in position. I'm about to measure the frame points. I've got my little paperwork out here, and I'm about to square up the frame on the floor using my laser level. And so you can see I kind of put my connectors in place. I line up my spot welds where I drilled them out, but you can see how far off the apron is here. That's how much the nose is sagging right now. One of my concerns is that the hydraulic jacks lost pressure while I was welding, which would mean the nose would go down and then I welded it in that position. I don't know yet. That's what I'm going to find out right now. Anyway, so that's it. I got my creepers on both sides and I got my tape measure, my trusty tape measure. Okay, so I think I've succeeded. I have everything adjusted as far as I could. Indeed, my hydraulic jacks relaxed 1/8 of an inch when I welded the torque box in. So I have a little more droop on the left than the right. All I can say about that is, dang it. However, looking at the fender fitment here, this is what the gap looks like. So I kind of did okay. That's not bolted in, but that is just me holding it in. It's actually, it needs to be there, further back, like so. And then that's what it looks like. That's not too bad. So, even though I screwed up, it's not insurmountable. Okay, I guess I will, that's it. I don't care. Whatever. End. It's the end.